Well, hi everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and welcome again to our live broadcast. And today we're going to be talking about courage. And the reason that I wanted to talk about that is because I know a lot of the viewers have been talking to me recently, and they've all got things going on where they need a little bit of courage. And I, for one, definitely need a reminder on this subject. So that's going to be what we're talking about. However, before we start, just to let you know that we have the front end of this, we actually talk about some news, views, and updates. It gives everybody a chance that wants to join in to be able to do so. And so if you're new to the broadcast, know that underneath the notes, if you're watching it on the replay, underneath on the see more notes, it will have from 00 to such and such a time, news, views, and updates. And then from another time onwards to the end will be our topic of the day. So before we start, I just wanted to say a couple of things. For those of you who might be ghosting, and ghosting is where you're watching but you're not actually in the chat, welcome anyway. And I always am very, very happy to have people ghosting. It really is wonderful to me that people actually watch and get some benefit. So welcome. And if you ever have a topic that you'd like me to talk about, just write to me at dearmamasal@gmail.com, and I'll do what I can to include it in a broadcast. However, for those of you who would like to join in the chat, what I'm inclined to do is if you're new to the chat, I will probably ask you if you say something that I think you might not want to have public, I will probably just check it with you and go, do you want me to have that as public or not? The regular viewers, I don't bother to ask because they know that if they put it up, I'm going to talk about it. So, and they've been around long enough to know that I'm going to do that. So that is the way that we do it. When the broadcast has finished, I will disconnect the chat section. Sometimes I am a little slow in doing that, but most of the time I get it done within about 5 minutes. But I am an imperfect human being. And occasionally I forget. I get sidetracked when I'm trying to do it. So, but just know that for the most part, it will be disconnected within about 5 minutes of the broadcast ending. So that's just so that you know. All right. Let me think. What else do we need to know? I've got a couple of, hi there, Jody. I've got a couple of thoughts and prayers. I'm still got thoughts and prayers going out for Jody and the car, Jody, Lionel, and their car. It's really important to them. And Jody, what's the next step on the car? Let me know that, and I will share it with everybody. And I'm trying to think if we've got any other thoughts and prayers things going up. Oh, yes. We need Lauren, thoughts and prayers for her new wheelchair. And Erin, I haven't heard from, but I'm sure she'll get hold of me and we'll hear from her sometime over the weekend. So I will update on that one. If, by the way, you are watching the broadcast for the first time, there's a bell down here somewhere. And if you click on that, it will always give you a warning if we're about to go live. And so that's something that you need to be aware of. And if you follow me on Facebook and Twitter, that is where I use those, particularly Facebook. I use it as a sort of update during the week. If I hear anything that I think is of value to the viewers, I will put it up there. Or if I see a quote that I really like, or Jody, you've sent up a couple of really nice quotes this week, and I thank you for that. So I share them. All right, so Jody's saying that she's going to have the mechanic look at the car, which is great. And she's the dealership is also going to check it out for her. So that's great. If it's meant to be, Jody, I hope it works for you. Birthdays this week, as some of you may know, Jamie had a birthday on the 24th. So happy belated birthday. I did put up a note. We've got Kerry's coming up on Halloween and on the 31st. We've got Nana's on the 2nd. And if any of you have been around long enough to remember Schmegs, it's hers on the 7th. So those are the birthdays I know about. If I've missed anybody's, let me know and I will add it to the system. And talking about one step at a time, Jody definitely took a major step forward this week. If you remember, she was trying to clean off a particular table in her living room. Well, apparently the table collapsed this week. So it's clear now. Destroyed, but clear. So Jody, what did you do with the stuff that was on it? I just burst out laughing when I read that, and I'm going, that's one of those things where if you wait long enough, the universe will do it for you, right? Hi, Jamie. Happy birthday for the 24th. And, oh, sorry, I've got an itchy nose. Let me just grab a Kleenex here. And I know Marie said that she'd been going to the gym. Yeah, did you have a good birthday, Jamie? I hope. And talking about one step at a time, which we normally do talk about on a Friday, I did really well this week. I got probably halfway through cleaning through my craft room. So I reckon if I put in a concerted effort next week, I could have upstairs done, except for the things that I need help with getting things downstairs. Yeah, Jody, you did my sort of cleaning, right? Jody said all the stuff that fell to the floor, she just chucked it in a box. Yeah, put the lid on it and that's done. Yes, and that's probably what you would have done with it anyway, Jody. How many of you relate to that one? Mm. And that's exactly what I'm doing at the moment as well, Jody, with the downsizing. Instead of trying to get it all cleared up upstairs, I'm now chucking it all in a box, taking the box downstairs, and then Saturday, I'm going down to sort out the boxes. And so this is a new system I've got now, which is, hey, this is not good stuff. It's a problem. Otherwise, you wouldn't have left it until last. So take it downstairs. And when I'm downstairs, it's called put it in a box where it belongs, because it doesn't belong upstairs anymore, or else chuck it, recycle it or chuck it. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's got to go. So I did pretty well with that. And, I really, I have to say, Jody, that this putting it all in a box is not a bad idea, but I have discovered that it's not a bad idea to go through the boxes as well. I have got one area in my bedroom which will need to have a bit more attention this week, where I throw all the stuff that I know I've got to sort through because it could have something important in it. Do you know that box? Do you know what I mean? It's one of those, yeah, I'm not quite sure what to do with it, so I'll put it here. And I've got, I think, 2 boxes of that. I've already sorted through probably about 8, but I've got 2 more that are left, which is pretty good considering, because I'm just about through all of that now. But it just actually doesn't take that long. What it requires is that I just sit down quietly and I pick up a piece of paper and I read it and I go, is that important to my life right now? Well, it was important, obviously, but is it important to my new life? No, shred. Is this important to my new life? No, shred. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it's amazing. If you concentrate on it, it works. So we're going to do a bit of a mini workshop here. And so if you'd like to grab a piece of paper and something with which to write, I'm inclined to say a pen, but maybe you prefer pencil. And we're going to be talking about a subject that I know I need this week. I'm just trying to find where my time. There we go. All right, the times check, Jody, is for 9:40. And just so that you know, the things I'm about to talk about are just my opinions. I'm going to read some quotes. This is what we do. I'm going to read some quotes, and then anybody who's in the room, what we do is we discuss what that brings up for us this week. Now, totally understanding that if I read the same quote next week, you might have a totally different reaction to it depending on what's going on in your life. So I hope that makes some sense. This is not about the right answers. This is about what's going on for you this week. And to me, that's really important. Hi there, Lee. In case you don't know, I just want to put up a disclaimer. I'm obviously not a medical person. I am just just a YouTuber. And the thoughts you're going to hear are mine as a human being rather than mine professionally. And so I just want to make sure you know I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not anything like that. This is what we do here is we're an extended family of people who like to talk about our truth. Because all too often, I think when we watch YouTube, there is not a truth, right? When I say not a truth, I don't mean people are lying, but what I find is that so many people just talk about the good stuff and they don't talk about the challenges. And what I said was if I do YouTube, I'm going to talk about the challenges because I believe they're really important to talk about. So, right. And before I do, if anybody has got a challenge that they need some courage with this week and can discuss it, let us know. And so we can talk through that. Before I get on to talking about the first quote on courage, I thought I'd give you a tip for the week. Now, this is going to be a really strange tip. I'm pretty sure you all know the tip about if you've got a toilet paper roll, which most of us do, spray some perfume in the center of the roll before you put it on the holder. And then every time you pull the toilet paper, you get a really nice aroma. Now, I've got some special perfume that I bought that I wouldn't wear, but it's really a nice a perfume type bouquet in my bathroom. So I think I found it in the dollar store and I went, yeah, that's quite a nice, smell. It doesn't smell too antiseptic, not too floral, not too anything. It was a bit musky and I really liked it. So I used that for in my bathroom. But here's what I found, and I don't know why I didn't think of it before. What I found was it was surprising how long the perfume stayed on the cardboard. And so now when I finished with the toilet roll, I actually take that and put the perfume toilet roll centerpiece in one of my drawers. And it's amazing how how effective it is. I'm going, wow. And obviously I'll just keep rotating with new ones as I go through each. I've got a couple in a closet, and a couple of drawers that I've got some in, and I've just found, wow, that's really nice multitasking, because not only did it work for the time that the toilet roll was working, but also it keeps on giving. The roll that keeps on giving. How's it? Now, the other thing I wanted to just quickly talk about is, because it's about courage, did any of you have the courage to buy Halloween candy? That's my big question. I had a bit of a chat. I went shopping this week. When I was in Walmart, I saw a woman in the candy aisle, and she was putting some interesting looking candies into her basket. And I did say, are those for you? Or are they for children? And she said, no, they're my second batch for me. And I said, oh, I'm so pleased. This is my first run, and they are for me. And I'm amazed how many candies. No, I don't do the trick or treating either, but there are other reasons to buy candy, Lee, and that's for yourself. So I have totally pigged out on mini candy bars and stuff. But the good news about it is that when that sugar rush drops, I'm sleeping really well at the moment. So, there's an upside to it. Oh, you're on your second batch, Jody. Good for you. Yeah. I bought a whole box of Cadbury treats, and I'm nearly through that. And I bought a whole bag of rockets. They're the sherbet type things. I'm slow on those, but they last a long time. And then I bought a little bag of mini Mars bars, and I'm trying not to go through those too quickly because I really do like my Mars bars. But and I wonder why I put on weight. Seriously, I mean, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. Lee's saying she gets them when they go on clearance. Yes, that's my second trip. I do the one trip before for Halloween, and then I do another one the shop after Halloween, where I pick up hopefully some good price ones. Of course, my justification is I'll keep them for Christmas and put them in stocking stuffers. They never make it past a month, so. So today, just first of all, has anybody got anything that they need a bit of courage on? And I definitely do. I've definitely got something I need to really put on my big girl pants. And I'm terrified, and I don't mind telling you. But that's why I thought maybe we should talk a bit of courage, right? Because I need to do that. Oh, on the good news, I just heard I got invited down to visit Benji and Judy this week. So I thought I'd just let you guys know that I'm going to go down on Tuesday, stay over, and then I'll drive back on Wednesday. That's got nothing to do with courage. I don't need courage to do that. But I got something else that I've got to do that takes a great deal of courage for me. All right, so I'm going to start again with the famous quote from Mark Twain, because Mark Twain really did word it well. And he said, courage is the resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not the absence of fear. So basically, whatever it is that we are scared of, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be a little frightened, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Terry Cole Whitaker, my favorite quote from her is, feel the fear and do it anyway. And that's what I've got to do this week. And I say got to do because it's getting past a choice now. I think I actually do have got to do it. So do any of you relate to that, where you've actually procrastinated yourself into a corner where now you need to do something, even if it takes courage? I'm thinking about Jody and your table, right? And you really did have to get down and put those bits in a box and do something with them. But the interesting thing was that clearing that stuff up probably took far less effort than you thought it would once it was on the floor. And I think that's an interesting thing about people, is that if you wait long enough, life makes you do it. And so I'm not quite sure that is a good or bad thing. I remember once I literally wrote a full day seminar on the power of positive procrastination. And yeah, there's some bad things about procrastinating, but there are also some good things about it. Here's another nice quote, and it says, even the bravest of creatures have some fear, but it's not enough to stop them from moving down the path they are destined to walk upon. Hi there, Kim. Yeah, so do you understand that even though we are scared, even though we don't want to do it, even though whatever, if you know you need to do it anyway, it's time. Makes sense. So this is not about that it's easy. This is about do the adult thing. As you can tell, I am not keen to do the adult thing this week. A dream does not become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. Boy, do I know that one. How long has it taken me to go through 20 years of crud in my house? All right. A dream does not become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. And Colin Powell said that, the Secretary of State, a long time ago. So to me, I think what amazes me is how much I have done and the downsizing. But what still frightens me is how much I will need to do at the other end. But I'll worry about that when I get there. This is very relevant. And it says it all begins and ends in your mind. What you give power to has power over you. So how many of you have found that out, that it's actually the fear itself that is fearful, more fearful than the reality of doing it? Yes, Kim, that's a very, very honest and very helpful thing to admit. Kim says, and I'm certain a lot of people will relate to this, she says, I think about doing things too much, and eventually it overwhelms me. Yeah, I am learning that the trick to it is to just do a little. All right. And that's it. I say to myself, Sal, if you only do a little today, at least you can say you did something. And, if a little means that I literally put a box together, and then take it into a room and fill up the box and then put it at the top of the stairs, ready to go downstairs, that is a win. So, that famous adage, which is, how do you eat an elephant? Well, you eat an elephant one bite at a time. The reality is, however little the next step you take is, it is another step. It is bringing you closer to what you want. And I think what happens to us, Kim, is we keep thinking about getting the whole thing done. Yeah. We keep thinking about, gosh, the whole thing is overwhelming. I assure you that downsizing for me was totally overwhelming. And it stopped me a number of times along the way. But the funny thing is, just doing a little bit at a time, I've been a lot more successful. And I'm glad to hear that you're now doing that, Kim. And so, the thing is, it doesn't matter what it is that you need a little bit of courage with, or what little bit of support with. Yes, and now you're starting to get some things done. Yes. Jody quotes me on my quote, if you were accused of doing one step towards your goal, would there be enough evidence to convict you? And so what I keep saying to myself is, if I were accused of trying to finish the downsizing, is there enough evidence to convict me? And if I can say, yes, I filled up a box and I took it downstairs into the garage, then, I'm happy. That's it for today. Tomorrow, another box. You know what I mean? So I keep doing that. So do you know that people fear death even more than pain? It's strange that they fear death. Life hurts a lot more than death. At the point of death, the pain is over. Yes, I guess it's a friend. And that was Jim Morrison from The Doors who said that. It's like, it's funny. I've said that a lot to people. I really, funny enough, I don't fear dying. I fear pain. Or I would fear losing my mind, but I don't actually fear the dying part. I think, I have faith and I believe it will be a better place. So, but it is interesting, right, to be aware of what you fear. If you have no confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. I've had to talk to myself quite strongly about. I realized that my little kid was taking over because I've got some major things that I need to do now, and my little kid didn't want to do them, and I just had to have a very serious discussion with my inner kid and say, "Excuse me, you need to get this done. You need to actually act like an adult." And how many of you have found that that sometimes is the only way that you do it? Jody, I keep thinking about all the calls you need to make to get things to happen in your life. And I'm sure you don't look forward to making those calls because you're a proud woman and you don't want to have to tell people that you need the help that they can possibly give you. But you're doing it. And I'm so aware of your courage in doing that. And I like the way that Mondays are particularly active for you in terms of doing telephone calls. It sounds to me like you sort of have your week set out. Now, Mondays is the day I take a major step forward on all these things. And I do all the telephone calls that are needed. And I think that's a great thing to do. And I've actually started getting my mind wrapped around that a little bit as well. By the way, I actually, for those of you who know, I have a CPAP machine. Kim, I think you've got one as well, haven't you? And I went to get mine serviced yesterday, and it's part of the price that I paid for the machine, and they sterilize it and make sure everything's good. And the only thing that they said to me was there was a little bit of discoloration on the cheek pads, the ones that you tighten up and they on your cheek. And I said, oh yeah, that would be makeup. And I said, that's just telling you that I don't clean my makeup off properly at night. It's like I didn't really care. But I was amazed how well I had done. When they did the full printout, of course, I already knew because I have my Fitbit and it already tells me. But it was interesting that it confirmed it from the machine as well. So I got my gold star because, I asked for it. She was busy reading all the things that I'd done. I said, so do I get a gold star? And she looked at me and said, what? I said, do I get a gold star? And she said, yes, of course you do. Look at your figures. And I said, fine. May I please remind you to send those to my respirologist? Which actually, I glad I thought of that because the last time I went to my respirologist, he didn't have an update. And I said, I'd really like to make sure that he gets an update so he knows I'm doing the right things. So, listen to this quote and see if you like this one. It says, keep your fears to yourself, but share your courage with others. That was Robert Louis Stevenson. But I'm not sure if I totally agree with that. What about you guys? I think I do better when I share some of my fears. Like, I don't mind telling you I'm really scared to do this particular thing. I'm not going to talk about what it is, but I can tell you that I've got something that I need to do that really does scare me. And so it's like, it's important to be able to talk about the fact that, I have stuff that scares me too. It's not just, you guys, I definitely have some stuff that scares me too. And so I think it's better to talk about it. I actually am going to get a couple of people to help me through this week because I want to be accountable. I need to be able to have the ability to say, did I take the next step? And that to me will help me. But, it's just the way I work best. For some reason, I don't know if any of you relate to this. But sometimes I do things better when I know somebody else is checking on me. Oh, so that's interesting. Jody says that she thinks sharing fears makes us more relatable to each other. Yes, I don't think perfection does. You know what I mean? When I say that, I really, I know perfection maybe has, people strive for that. But, I really do think that we have a lot of trouble talking about the things that we fear. And so as Jody so rightly says, it makes you more relatable, but make sure you have safe people you can talk to. I would not share my fears of certain things with just anybody. I would need to share those fears with people that know me really well and understand that this isn't just a, little fear. This is like a monumental fear for me. And we all have different fears, all right, and different levels of fear depending on our reality. So this is a great quote from Meryl Streep, and I thought you would enjoy this one. It says, "This is your time, and it feels normal to you. But really, there is no normal. There is only change and resistance to it. And then more change." Okay, Meryl. That is very wise. Yeah. I don't, it's amazing. Yeah, I really like that quote. This is your time and it feels normal to you. But really, there is no normal. There is only change and resistance to it. And then more change. Now, how many of you wish you had known that at the get-go? And if we actually had that imprinted in our brains when we started out, hi, Kerry. If we had that imprinted in our brains when we started out, I think life would be a lot easier because we wouldn't resist change so much. We would, just go, okay, this is normal. Here's the, I crossed that hurdle. Here comes the next. It's like one long hurdle race, right? And I don't know about you, but there's sometimes when I go, I think I've had enough hurdles now. Could I have some flat ground? I would really like some flat ground. But the truth is, life will continue to bring us hurdles. And that doesn't mean we're doing it wrong. It just means that we're getting, we will not be given a higher hurdle than the one we can overcome. Or so they say. And I'd like to believe that. So listen to this one. Take a deep breath. This is a beautiful one. It says, "May your light shine so brightly that others can see that they are on a spiritual path too." May your light shine so brightly that others may see that they are on a spiritual path too. And one of the many things I keep saying to myself is everybody is doing the best they can at their speed. And as you know, I try very hard not to change everybody. My goal is to help people take one step forward on their path, whatever that is, and whatever they're ready to do. I'm glad you're drinking chocolate shake, Kerry. That sounds healthy. It's better than a handful of candy, which I probably would be doing, right? And how many of you believe this quote from Zig Ziglar, and that is that you can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want? And I understand the concept of that. Yes, Kim, I agree with you. That is all you can do, is the best that you can. And it may not be the best on somebody else's scale, but it is the best of which you are capable at this time. Yeah. Now, here's one that will make you think a bit. Are you ready for this one? All right, this will challenge the brain a little. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to become. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to become. I think that's Ralph Waldo Emerson. I don't know about you, but that's a pretty powerful quote. If we decide to be happy and we do the things that it takes to make ourselves happy, we will be happy. We'll become that. If we decide to hate the world and spend our life isolated, not going out and seeing the beauty of the world or the beauty of people, we will prove ourselves right. And we will be miserable people. If we are fearful for our future, we will again isolate and we won't get out into the world. And so I would like to say that for me is a great quote to concentrate on this week. The only person you're destined to become is the very person that you decide to become. And so I keep thinking, I've got a couple of you that are, by virtue of your illness, pretty isolated. And I was thinking, what would it take to go out for dinner this week? And it doesn't matter whether that's a dinner in the food court or, whether it's a five-star restaurant. It's about, or even, go and take a picnic meal with you and go to a food court and eat it. It's like, what would it take to get you out of your environment and into the real world? And I know that it was interesting because when I got the invitation to go down into the States next week, I came up with a lot of, wait a minute, I would need to do this, I would need to do that. And I just said, shut up. Just say yes. You know what I mean? It was like, because the what if monster was about to spoil my trip. And so I really do want to just say to people, that getting out is perhaps one of the greatest um, things you can do to increase your happiness. However, it takes courage. It's easier to stay inside. It's less bother. All right. It's like going out is a bother, right? You've got to get dressed. You've got to probably put makeup on. You've got to get clothes on. So, it's like you need to do something. So you're Kerry's saying that the man in her life, Mike, is surprising her on her birthday. And so you're semi-nervous of what the surprise might be? I always find that interesting because other people's idea of a surprise and mine are probably not the same. So one of the things that I would recommend, you hate surprises, yeah. So just lower your expectations on them. Just, be grateful. And does Mike know that you hate surprises? Because if he knows you hate surprises and he then tells you that he's going to surprise you for your birthday, that's a little weird to me. How does everybody else feel about that? Yes, so if he didn't know that you don't like surprises, then that's another thing. Kim, what date is your birthday? Just so I make sure I've got it in my system. He didn't know at the time. Okay. So that is that's a really important thing to share with somebody if you're in a relationship, if you don't like surprises, because a lot of people like giving people surprises. November the 9th. Jody, can you just give me a reminder on that, please? Thanks, Kim. So here is the thing. Um, do you hate surprises enough to tell him, please don't surprise me, just tell me now? Or is part of you quite happy to have a surprise? I think you need to really think this one through. Because if you say to him, I hate surprises, then that sort of takes the fun out of it for him. Or you could say, Kerry, I normally hate surprises, but as it's you, I'll let you get away with one. Because do you understand that the idea undoubtedly was very loving on his part? You see, that's hi, Sakura. That's a different thing. You're impatiently waiting to find out now. So you actually do quite like surprises. Because if you really didn't like surprises, you would be saying, Mike, I need to know this now. I don't do surprises well. Please tell me now. All right. So the fact that you're willing to wait tells me that you don't altogether hate surprises. Yes, that is more of the truth. You hate waiting. And I agree. I think if you're going to surprise somebody, surprise them. Don't say, I'm going to surprise you. I think that's a little cruel. So you might want to have that conversation. Um, because, in a way, it sets up a whole series of expectations that you might end up disappointed. Yeah. So, Kerry, do you understand that was cognitive work? All right. You remember I was talking about that? Where you actually have a look at that thing. You make a statement, I hate surprises. Well, the truth is you don't hate them. You don't like waiting for them. Yes, and I want to tell you something. That's what I'm saying. The conversation I would have is, hey, if you want to surprise me, do it. Don't tell me you're going to surprise me. Because then I set up all the wrong expectations. Whereas if I'm just surprised, I'm grateful for whatever it is. I don't know. I mean, to me, this is a difficult one. What does everybody else think? How do you feel about that? So, but I'm glad that you got to actually think about that, Kerry, because that's a learning for you. All right. Impatience is your thing, not fear of the unknown. I like this quote. It said, every day is a second chance. Make today worth remembering. Okay, so Sakura is saying, I don't like the unknown. Yes. And I think a lot of people struggle with that one. And that's why we don't do surprises well. All right. Now, let me ask you something. If the surprise that you don't know that you're about to get happened to be the winning ticket of the mega lottery that just went down, and it happened to be worth 6 billion or whatever it was, how would you feel about waiting until Wednesday? Yeah, interesting, Kerry, because that's part of my thing as well. I hate hearing, "Oh, I've got a surprise for you." Yeah. Yes, because Jodie's saying the same thing. She said, I agree with you, Sal. Don't say anything. Just make it a true surprise. No expectations. Yep. I do think that's what we do. I think when we know there's a surprise coming, then we set up these expectations. And quite often, um, we end up disappointed because it wasn't a nice a surprise as we thought. Yeah, I personally would like to know that, I just bought you the winning ticket to the mega lottery. That would be nice. And I don't mean that you bought a ticket. Hi there, Patricia and James. Hi, James. So, Yes, exactly, Kerry. And I know you well enough to know that. Kerry's saying because I overthink and I set up weird expectations. Yes, and therefore you also set up yourself for weird disappointments. Yeah, Kerry. And that's why I'm saying that you just need to talk about this a little more. Do you understand? So that people understand your mentality, which is different from some. Pat, I wanted to ask you, have you now shut your trailer down for the winter? Yes, so just have that conversation and say, hey, honey, next time, don't tell me you've got a surprise for me, just surprise me on the day. All right. Because otherwise, this is what happens to my brain. I overthink things and I don't want to do that. Yeah, I was wondering about what he was going to do to deter mice. That's something that came up for me. Uh, it's really strange because I know that a lot of people say, different things, and I just wondered what you're going to do. I'm beginning to wonder whether I will need to have a cat in my fifth wheel. And Sakura, have you thought about that as well? Because I know you're thinking about fifth wheel. What are you going to do to detract mice? Do you have cats? Now, I'm not a cat person, but I'm wondering whether dogs equally keep rodents at bay. But it was one of the things that, like, I haven't got enough to worry about. I started to worry this week about what do I do about things like mice and rats and stuff. I'm just hoping there are enough cats where I live. Yeah, and I hear peppermint oil is really good. If you put it on cotton wool balls and just put a whole lot in a big Ziploc, um, and then leave it for a few days, and then just stuff those down everywhere where there's a hole to the outside. Where all the pipes go down. I've got to ask the owner of the fifth wheel. Yes, but I've also seen pictures. Sakura very kindly put me onto a website that talks about these things. And they've got some great pictures of Irish Spring soap with nice gnaw marks in it where they've been chewing at it. Yeah. So interesting. So, it's like I haven't got enough to worry about. I'm now worrying about that. Yes, I have. Pretty much. I'm still got some stuff I need to work out. Yeah. How about this quote? You are more powerful than you know, and they fear the day you discover it. Do you agree with that? Do you feel more powerful than you know? I don't know. There's been something about downsizing that has also downsized my self-esteem. Does that make sense to anybody? It's amazing where I have to keep reminding myself, you are not a wuss. Yeah. And yes, Kerry doesn't feel very powerful, right? And so this is like, but you know something? I think that with all due respect, Kerry, that you're more powerful than a lot of people I know. You make some good decisions and you follow your dream a great deal. So, um, Bernice, you've had a difficult couple of weeks, even months. So I'm not surprised that you don't feel it right now. So let's talk a little bit about that. Pat, you're saying, will I be able to live in it year round? Well, yes, it's going to be my home. Now, the question is, will I go stir crazy? But Pat, I really look at what am I doing in my house these days. I mean, other than the fact that I'm downsizing. But literally, I take the walk from my bedroom to the kitchen and back to my bedroom. And then I occasionally bring things from the studio to the kitchen. I'm looking at, when did I last sit down? When did I last sit down in my living room? I don't find my living room. It's beautiful, but I don't I don't feel comfortable there. So everything, because my computer is in my bedroom, that's where I spend a lot of time. And it's interesting to me that my life has changed so much. So will I be able to live in it year round? I can't tell you that yet, Pat. I'll let you know after a year of being there. Yes, I want to tell you, Kim, that it has surprised me how everybody said it was going to feel so much better. I would feel so much lighter for getting rid of so much stuff. Well, I've still got a garage full of stuff. That's interesting. I actually have been chucking my stuff, Kim, because I really don't want the agony of selling it. You know what I mean? I'm either giving it away or I'm throwing it away. Because I'm looking to do this quickly. Now, the things that I haven't sold, I probably will hold on to, because my reality is those things I probably will have to learn how to sell. When you say the stuff keeps coming back, what do you mean by that? The other thing that I'm getting really good at, and I really recommend it for people. I don't know if I've told any of you. I was giving you the hint about, the perfume in your drawers. But the other thing I wanted to say was, and it works for me. I have a place where I hang my laundry inside my cupboard before I sort it into the right areas. And I've got a Safeway bag on that hook. And I found that I am doing a much better job of looking at a row of clothes, be they tank tops. Whoops, I'm thinking about, I got a whole, series of tank tops and stuff like that. And I look at them and I go, can you still fit into these, Sal? Or are you kidding yourself? And I literally will take one and throw it into the Safeway bag. And then the next time I do the laundry, I look at the next thing and I go, have you worn all of that this season? And if not, what are you going to get rid of? If you had to get rid of one, which one would it be? And I take one and I put it in the bag. I'm actually amazed how well that works for me. I'm getting into the habit of doing that. Yes, I want to tell you, Kim, that I totally relate to that we find stuff that we'd forgotten about. Yes. And yet we've lived without it for a long time. And suddenly now we think we need to keep it. Hi there, Linda. Good to see you. So we're talking about courage today, Linda. And we know that that's a big, you're good at that one. A dream becomes a goal when action is taken towards its achievement. Yeah, I've always said that a dream is a dream until you put it down on paper and then it becomes a goal, but it doesn't become a goal if you don't do anything towards it. Yes, Kim, I agree. It's really hard to look at something and go, do I need it? Now, and the question I have learned to ask myself, Kim, is why? If I say, well, yes, I don't want to get rid of it, why? What does it actually mean to you? And if the only answer I have, well, somebody I really like gave that to me, it's not a good enough reason to keep it. All right? Because I've got some really strange things that people I like gave to me that I need to get rid of. So I really do want to get you to understand that. I think I have learned a lot about myself in downsizing. If you don't use it in a month, you sell it. Wow. You guys are so good at doing that. Wonder why I don't. To me, it's hard work selling it. Where do you sell it? Now, talking about the CPAC machines, how many people do I have here with CPAC machines? Because I found a really clever gizmo that I'm hoping will be delivered this week. And do you find Facebook Marketplace works for you? Okay. Do you? What I found was, that the CPAC cleaner costs about $300. The one where you put it in and close the lid, and it sanitizes the whole thing. What I found is a gizmo that you can literally throw all of your CPAC stuff into a box or into a large Ziploc, and then throw this in, and it'll do the same thing. And so I've got the gizmo on order. I should get it this week, and I'm going to try it to see if it works. Okay, so Kim's saying Facebook Marketplace is slow. All right, so Sakura, you're saying that my judgment that this is not worth selling is my problem. I want to know. So Pat, if you remind me, I'll let you. Actually, what I want to do is when I get it, I will show you how it apparently works. But it's like I think I paid under $100 for it, and you can literally, you just literally charge it overnight, and in the morning you can just throw it in a bag with your stuff and it'll ionize it. Do you know what I mean by ionize it? Yeah, so that's why, Kim, I'm taking a lot of that sort of stuff with me, because I think I've got the rest of my life then to sell them. You know what I mean? They've got silver, I've got tools from my workshop. All right, Linda's saying she sells about 10% of what she puts up on Facebook. Does it cost you to put it up on Facebook? Yeah, and Sakura's saying that she supplements with garage sales. It's all free. Yes, but how much, then you've got to pack things up or are you doing it locally that they have to come and collect it? What do you do about sending it to people? That's what I'm trying to understand. Yes, to which comment, Pat, just so I understand. So you meet people. Wow, isn't that dangerous? Anyway, so everybody's got their own way of doing it. So you're doing it locally. That is interesting. My next quote is, never underestimate the power of dreams and the influence of the human spirit. We are all the same in this notion. the potential for greatness lies within each one of us. And I think what I recommend that we all say is, what if I really am great? How would I do this? Right? How would I do this? If I'm as great as I would like to dream of, how would I do this? And sometimes that gives you courage. And after this very troubling week, I just wanted to make sure everybody knows they have managed to catch the guy that was sending those bombs. Just so that everybody, in case you haven't heard the news, they have caught the guy. Yes, Sakura, just start one step at a time. And that's what I want to do, is literally I'm taking the better stuff with me or storing it, and then slowly through the rest, I've got the rest of my life to sell it if I want to. And some of it's worth quite a bit. But I just didn't want to do it as well as trying to downsize and doing all sorts of other things. That's just my reality. Now, this is a very good quote for this week, because it's been a tough week on the news this week. And it says, the only thing that will redeem mankind is cooperation. How about that? That in order to redeem mankind, we are going to need to cooperate, not fight one another. And, it was funny because I was saying to somebody this week that somebody had said something, and I said, I could call them wrong on this, but I really am getting to the stage that I'd rather be happy than right. Yes, Kim. Kim's saying that's how she's selling stuff one day at a time. Yes, and that's that's the way I look at it. I want to move it, then get have the time to look at something and research it and go, I know this is its value, and then I will start selling certain things off. All right, and Sakura, you're saying you haven't done any downsizing, just the laundry and dishes. I want to tell you, I so relate to that. Okay, Pat, thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure to see you here. I'd rather, yeah, be happy than, and it was so interesting because I could have proven the person wrong. And then I just went, I just can't do this anymore. I just don't want to do it. I just want to be right. So, all right. So how about this one? Courage is the willingness to act in spite of fear. So think about what it is that you are fearful of this week and what one small step you could take towards overcoming that fear. All right. And only you know what that is, right? Because you've got your own fears and you've got your own reasons for fearing. And I'm pretty certain that in a lot of cases, we all could talk about our stuff and people would just go, really? And you're fearful of that? Why would you be fearful of that? It doesn't make any sense. Well, it doesn't have to make any sense. Yes, Sakura, I totally understand. Your fear right now is your future, right? And that's okay. All right, Linda's saying she went for blood tests and boy, was she scared. All right. Have you got the results yet, Linda? And Kim's saying she's gotten to the point where she fears going out. Now, a lot of you relate to that. And that's why I keep saying, Kim, that the greatest courage you can have this week is to get out. All right? Get out and see the world, because otherwise, enough people will tell you this. Once you get into the habit of not going out, I actually have it on my goal list every week to get out at least 2 times a week. All right? Sakura, I totally relate to what you're saying. All the extra responsibilities adding to what you're already trying to do. I want to tell you, part of me fears that as well. That's awesome. So you were fearful of the blood tests and you got great results. Well done. Yeah, you see, Sakura, I want to tell you that this downsizing is not for the faint of heart. I totally relate to that. If I had no idea how long it would take, I had no idea how stressful it could become. And it is really a learning experience for me. Kerry, you're saying Mike makes you get out of the house. Well, that's giving him a responsibility, right? So one of the things that you might want to be careful of, Kerry, is that you don't always make that Mike's thing. That you actually go, hey, Mike, let us go and do X, Y, and Z. That it's not always his job to get you out of the house. And I say that because when we get into the habit of, well, it's okay because Mike makes me go out, then what happens if Mike isn't around? Right? So that's putting a big burden on him that I don't think he deserves. Yeah. So that's really what I do. And I find reasons. One day I will go out to go and do the shopping, and one day I go out to go and do other things. But I try and work really hard at making sure I get out of the house for at least 2 times a week. And by the way, I'm amazed how much it actually increases my steps for the day, which makes me laugh because I go, I'm not aware of actually walking. Oh, so Sakura's a little bit fearful because she's going to go with her husband and go bowling and meet some of his co-workers. So what is your fear, that they won't like you? Kim, I'm proud of you, all right? I'm proud of you that you get mad at yourself when you don't go out. Yes, and then you make yourself go. Kerry, you are fearful of becoming a hermit because you know you could be, all right? Because you don't force yourself out enough. You wait for somebody else to do it. And you're scared of your asthma, Kim. Right. And so the question is, what do you need to do to protect yourself from an asthma attack, right? Well, the funny thing is, Sakura, that probably more people than you know are not good on crowds. All right? You're not the only one. Yes, and Linda's saying, even if those days out are shopping, and she managed to get herself some more makeup, and how did that make you feel? All right, so Sakura, I understand. Will some people judge you? Probably, but will you possibly make a new friend? Yep. But I think as well, we have to be careful because we are ordering more and more stuff online and not getting out of the house, right? Yes, I think that's great, Kerry. That be equally responsible for finding reasons to go out. Now, the fact that you might find it easier to go out with him, I understand totally. I get that. But make sure that you are, balancing that out. Now, I wanted to tell you something that I found quite interesting. That I found that I had some cream eyeshadow that is sort of like a flesh color, but a little sparkly. Do you know what I'm saying? It is like what do you call it? Metallic skin color type eyeshadow. And I was thinking, I'm never going to wear that. And then I thought, well, maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. All right. And the funny thing is, I've started using it here. Can you see that? Here and here and here. And I'm going, why did I never think of that? It's like, it is interesting how it was meant to be an eyeshadow, but it actually makes a great highlighter. And now I'm going, I can use a lot of that. And it works. And then, I just cover it with a mineral powder over the top. But it is, to me, it is interesting how I guess I needed the courage to try it. And then, then I go, wow, I'm glad I tried that because it works. And the quote that I have here is, if you could get up the courage to begin, you'd have the courage to succeed. Yes, I agree with you, Kerry. Oh, hi there, Scott. Nice to meet you. We're now talking to Lee's husband, and he says he has a fear of going out in public due to having to use a walker. Well, you know something, Scott? Listen up, buddy. I think, are you worried because of other people judging you for that, or are you worried because it frustrates you? What is, there's more to this, right? There's more to it than I hate going out in public because I have to use a walker. What does that mean to you? Both. Okay, good. So the first thing is, don't give a squat about what other people think. All right? That's the number one thing I'm going to say to you, Scott. This week, go. And the other thing is, think about Lee. Don't think about yourself. You may be slow and frustrated because you're slower than you want to be because you've got a walker. But you know something? Go out. All right. Say, okay, Lee, we're going to go out to the movies. And if you have to be there, arrange to be there an hour early so you've got time to do all the things and get seated before everybody else or whatever it is, do it. The thing is, it's about the change, Scott. It's like, what do you need to do to get rid of the frustration? You need to give yourself more time. You need to let go of your ego. All right. Yeah, and so Linda's saying she occasionally has to use a stick, but you're getting used to it. Yeah, I'm having a bit of a problem with my right hip, Scott. So I'm getting a little concerned. It feels like a sciatic thing starting, and you know, but it is what it is. So I look at you, Scott, and first of all, great to meet you, and I'm so glad you're here. But do you understand what I'm saying here? If this is your new reality, then it's okay. Right, look at that. Kerry's mic uses a cane, and I'm pretty sure that Mike probably thought he would never attract a relationship because he walks with a cane. So Lee, I didn't know that. You suffered, in fact, I forgot that. I did know that now that I think about it. You suffered, oh no, it's Scott, suffered a massive heart attack back in March. Yes. So here's the thing, Scott, aren't you glad to be able to use a walker? You could have been dead. So, Scott, I really want to tell you how much I admire the fact that you joined in to talk about this. Because what it tells me is at some level you do want to do it. Is that true? Yes, you should have been dead. You're right, but you didn't. You're a survivor. Good point, Linda. Linda said she did more today because she actually took her cane. See, Scott, that takes great courage, in my view. It takes great courage for you to talk about it and go, now, Scott, tell me, what is it you would like to do? Yes, Kimmy. And Kimmy's saying very true. I thank God that I'm still living and breathing. Yes. It may not be as easy as it was. It may not. I look at it as well and go, you know, somehow or other in doing all the up and down the stairs, I've managed to tweak my sciatic nerve, I think. And yeah, that's painful. I don't mind telling you. But you know something, I can still go up and down stairs. It's a lot slower than it was a month ago, but I can still do it. And so, this is about being grateful for what we've got. You remember what I said a couple of weeks ago, right? If we keep thinking about how we were, we will be miserable. If you think about this is my new reality, what can I do? Be grateful you can still use a walker. All right. Um, I talk about Jody a lot because Jody is, all but bedridden these days, or Erin. I look at Erin, who only has use of one hand and a bit of an arm, I think, and she still went to Disneyland. Yes, sciatica hurt so bad. I'm now officially over the attack, like no pain and full functioning of your leg. Well, I've got it. You passed it on. Hi, Carmen. Good to see you. So, yes, a chiropractor is something I am seriously considering at the moment. Because you see, Scott, you were given a 2% chance to live. If that isn't a survivor, I don't know what is. So, do you know something really strange? We found out, we have a little subgroup of Lauren, Jody, and myself. And we found out this week, Scott, I don't know if this makes any sense, that all three of us were seriously premature. Now, Jody, how long have we had that group? A year? And none of us knew that. Isn't it amazing? And we weren't just a little premature, we were seriously premature. So, you know, and I know that I was told, well, I wasn't aware of it, but my parents were told I wouldn't live the night. I mean, I was so premature. I think I weighed about 2 pounds, and they held me like this. I was that small. And the doctor said, I just need to warn you, she's not going to make it through the night. So yeah, basically don't get too attached. And then, being me, I was screaming, and then they said, well, she's not going to make it through 24 hours. So don't get attached. And so it went on. Hi, Marie. Good to see you. Yes, exactly. So you see, it's Scott, I look at it and go, you were saved. If you only had a 2% chance of living, you fought through to do something in your life. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't to feel frustrated with a walker. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, Scott. I think you're capable of a little bit more than being frustrated with a walker. I would like to see you see what you can do with a walker. Interesting. So look at that. All right. How many people were premature? Wow. Marie was 2 pounds 14 ounces. Yeah, exactly. So you look at it, and Sakura was 7 months, all right, and 1.5 pound, 1.8 pounds. I was in an incubator for 3 months. So look at it, all right? We have a lot in common, people. We're survivors. And so, Scott, I really want to tell you something that I hold you in very high self-esteem. A very high esteem from my side, because I'm going, if you've gone from having a major heart attack with a 2% chance of making it, and now you're out and about with a walker, that's pretty darn impressive in my book. Jody, overcame cancer, but the price she paid is she got lymphedema and she became, totally swollen, her legs and up to her abdomen, right? Just like elephantitis. And yet, look at what she does every day, and you know how grateful she is to be alive. We know how to fight. So that takes, I think we let go of that. What power there is in that. And I want to tell you something, Scott, that I want whenever anybody complains, if you hear somebody, you know how they do that? My God, that guy is so slow. I would learn to turn around, Scott, and with the most beautiful grin say, yeah, but I had a major heart attack a couple of months ago and they gave me a 2% chance to live. How do you feel about that now? And see their reaction. Wow. Excuse me. Carmen says, I may have missed this, and I'm sorry if it's already been discussed, but what's the most courageous thing you've ever done in your life, Sal? Not surprised to hear you were strong-willed and determined as ever. I think in a way, Carmen, what I'm doing right now feels like the most courageous thing I've ever done. Downsizing and literally going from 2,500 square feet down to 500. That it feels, because it there are so many things attached to that. I realize how much I've been attached to my stuff. So, there is some days where I think just getting up is the most courageous thing I've done. So I don't know. It's a very subjective thing, Carmen. What I call courageous and what other people call courageous are two different things. I think some people would say some of the things I've done are particularly courageous, and I don't see them as courageous. But I do know what I'm doing right now takes a lot of courage. Yeah, Kerry's saying she kept trying to come out early. Yeah, I think courage is in the eye of the beholder, and I say that. Yeah, Kerry's saying she was like on 3 inhalers as a kid when she wasn't sick. I want to get back to Scott if he's still listening. Scott, how do you feel about getting out with your walker now? Do you see it any differently? And what I'd be doing is literally saying to Lee, okay, we're going out this week. What would you like to do? And then, yeah, exactly, Scott. So that's why I want to thank you, because when you talk about it, you're right, it makes more sense. And so, to me, it's like, okay, Lee, this is your choice. What do you want to go and do? We're going out. And I don't care how long it takes, but we're going to do it. And then, I want to say stand up and be counted, Scott. Something tells me that in your previous life, you were pretty much in control. Am I right on that? I don't know why I feel that, but that's what I feel. So one of the things that is so difficult for me getting older is I can't do all the things I used to be able to do. So, yes, listen to what Kim's saying. Fight back, don't give up, and don't give in. But Kim, do you need to have that on your mirror? All right? Fight back, don't give up, and don't give in. Boy, I think we all need that. Yes, Scott, I wanted to ask you, were you a pretty much in control sort of person before the heart attack? Well, you're saying your cousin Rebecca weighed 1.5 at birth because her bio mom drank throughout her entire pregnancy. I assure you, anybody of my age, pretty much tell you that all their parents drank through the pregnancy and smoked. Look at us. It's like, so to me, it's like we built a whole generation of survivors out of that one. Yeah, Kim, I definitely put that on your wall. It was great. Okay, so how do you still have the brain tumor? And this is Scott saying that before the heart attack, he. Okay, so I don't know if you know this, Scott, but I used to donate a lot of time to people with brain tumors. Um, I used to go and help make them laugh a bit. But here's the thing that absolutely amazed me was one of the funniest jokes I ever heard came from somebody with a brain tumor. And, it was the very first time I went to go visit them, Scott, and the guy looked at me, and I didn't have any idea, that people could still have a sense of humor and have a brain tumor for some reason. And the guy looked at me absolutely dead straight in the eye and without breaking a smile said, "Do you know why people with brain tumors blind people don't go skydiving?" Because this guy was actually blind from his brain tumor. And I looked at him, and being me and trying to be polite, I said, "No, I have no idea why blind people don't go skydiving." And he said, "It scares the living daylights out of the dog." Well, I want to tell you something, Scott. I burst out laughing, literally, and I said, "I am so glad to have met you because you, in one joke, have told me everything I need to know about you." And the most incredible thing was, that I got to see him many times after that, and I'm very, very grateful for that. So, Scott, in terms of the brain tumor, you're saying it was removed twice, and I is it still as big? I mean, what is happening with it? Just so we can understand. And what does it give you severe headaches, Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. What impact does it have on you? It used to really amaze me how many people went out of their way to come and listen when I went to go and speak. And, I was always amazed that people with, you know, something as serious as a brain tumor would come out of their houses and come and listen to me speak. Yeah. And, so, they've removed it twice. And so it just keeps coming back? And so really what I'm trying to find out is, I know that it's a swelling on the pituitary, but other than the swelling, does it affect your speech? Does it yeah, headaches, all right, yeah. So, I keep thinking about Jody on this one because Jody suffers from severe pain, um, severe swelling, severe all sorts of things. Uh, and yet manages to do so much. And so I would like to suggest that it is easier not to do it, Jody. And I understand that, and I understand Scott's situation as well. It's easier not to do it. But there's part of me that says that, yeah, so your eyes are bad, your blood vessels are bad. Okay, so basically, it takes a huge amount for you to go out, as it does for Jody. But I would challenge you both, all right, to make a point of saying once a month, while I'm still able, at least once a month, I am going to go out. I don't care what it costs me. I need to do this for myself and my self-esteem. That while I still have a little bit of sight, I want to see the river or I want to see the trees, the beautiful color of the trees. While I still have blood through my blood vessels, I still want to do what I can while I can. And I think when we get that mentality, the other thing is that you don't have to go into public if you don't want to, Scott. You know what I mean? You could go just for a drive. Yes, and Jody says it feels wonderful to get out even for a few hours. And that's why I'm saying, Jody, that, you know, I love the fact that when you go for your pain meds, you always take a detour on the way home and go and do something fun. I really think that is great. You go and get an extra coffee or you go and do something. Yes, Kerry, you like going out and doing little things. Just going out, it doesn't mean you have to spend money. Or just go out into the garden, Sakura, if you're lucky enough to have one. Yes, go out into nature. I would say, depending on where you live, I mean, this time of year with all the colors that are out there, I can't help thinking that if this were the last fall, I'd want to see these colors. And I keep saying to people, I don't know if I'm going to be here next week. Scott, it's not just, you or anybody else. I don't know that I'm going to be here next week. All right. Not because I'm ill, but because I don't know if I'm going to be here next week. None of us do. And so, yeah, I think it's really important that we just are aware. You're right. That while we can, we need to do the things that we can. Well, I'd like to believe that, Sakura, but what I'm saying is I don't know that. And I keep reminding myself, that helps me get out. Yes, Kim, you look forward to the next spring. Okay, just hold on one second, Kim. I've got good news for you. Hang on. Wait 1 second. I always do this at this time of year. It's only 126 days until spring. Only 126 days until spring. Count them down, Kimmy, like I do. Yeah, you've seen me do that before. I'm not a winter person. I don't do winter well. I don't mind fall, but winter, I'm busy counting until spring. It's the only way I make it through winter. It's very pretty when it snows, but that's it. Um, so I'm looking at it and going, Scott, I really admire the fact you came in, and I thank you for it. And I want you to know that do what you can while you can is what I'm saying. I don't, I don't hate winter. I just, it's not my favorite season. Kim, anything but winter? No, I don't think anything but winter. I would rather have winter than die. So not anything but winter, no. I just keep going 126 days until spring. It sounds so much better. And it's amazing how quickly it comes around. Yes, I quite agree, Maggie, right? We're not promised tomorrow. All we have is today, this moment, right now. We should embrace it and really live it. Yes, every day. We should really live it. I don't know, some of you may know that part of what I was aware of was I was not getting enough sleep. I don't know how much sleep you average. Do any of you know how much sleep you average? But one of the things I was keeping track with my Fitbit was how much sleep I was getting. Um, and what I found out was I was literally not getting enough sleep. Not only was I not getting enough air at night, I wasn't getting enough sleep either. And I literally have been working so hard at building up, not a major change, but building up from less than 6 hours a night. And my goal was to get to over 7 hours a night, preferably 7.5. And it's taken me, Jody, what would you say, 3 months? And all I've been doing is really concentrating on getting more sleep. Yes, this is not going to defeat me. I will defeat it all. Yes. You see, when we give it power, it becomes powerful. When we go, my attitude, Scott, would be, I know that, I know that I've got lots of obstacles. I've got the brain tumor, I got the walker, but you know something? I'm still going to go and do something. And find something fun to do. Whatever you find fun. Maybe it's going and watching the children play on the swings. I don't know what is fun, but it doesn't have to be in crowds of people where you're going to feel uncomfortable. It can be just literally, drive the car to, watch the ocean if you happen to be near the ocean. I don't know where you are, or drive the car somewhere where you can watch, a football game or a soccer game if you enjoy sports. Literally find something to do that is big enough so your diminishing eyesight isn't a major problem for it. You still can see enough. And I look at, Jody, and one of the things that Jody had a problem with is, for example, her feet have swollen so much that none of her shoes um, fitted her properly. And then she didn't have a new winter, she didn't have a jacket that fitted her because she's ballooned up so much. So this was like, this becomes important. The Hudson Valley of New York, that must look so pretty at the moment. Right. So Kimmy's saying if she doesn't get an asthma attack, she gets about 5 or 6 hours. And if she has an asthma attack, it can come down to 2. Yeah. So the most important thing, and Maggie, that is really kind of you, right? So Scott, um, so we all wish each other the best that we can do for ourselves, all right? I found that not comparing myself with others is really important. I need to understand that I cannot compare myself with a 30-year-old. This is not fair on me. This is like, I look at myself and go, at 71, how am I doing? Pretty good. At 71, um, how does my skin look? Pretty good. And it's like, am I grateful to be able to do what I can do, even with the fact that I have this problem with my right leg at the moment? It's like, I can still make it up and down the stairs. It's not easy, but I can still do it. And I just have to do it differently. Yeah, take out the toxic people. But you know something, though, Sakura? Here's what I have to say to you. Be careful about taking out toxic people. Have you ever been a toxic person? Right? I want you all to think about that. Because I think there are times when I have been a toxic person, right? When stuff is being I've been in so much overwhelm and that I've had so much going on that I haven't been able to cope with. I think I've become a toxic person. And I want to tell you, I am so glad that my friends didn't get rid of me. Did you see what I'm saying, Sakura? Yeah. So to me, it's like, don't get rid of a toxic person. You know, do what you can to give them enough space so they can, um, recover. And Maggie is saying we're all unique beings. Comparing ourselves to others is the waste of life. Yes, I quite agree. We're all exactly who we're supposed to be. I cannot tell you how many times I was in front of a huge audience and suffering from depression. And it was really funny because I would talk to audiences and I would say to them, imagine if I'd waited until I was healthy before I started to speak. You know what I mean? It was like, I've got an audience of 7,000 people in front of me, and and I'm a motivational speaker who's depressed. Now, only I can make that funny, but what, that I did. But what I said to them is, imagine if I waited until I was well, before I came out to supposedly motivate you. And I'm smart enough to know I don't motivate anybody. They motivate themselves. But the reality is, I never let the fact that I was depressed stop me from doing what I felt I was due to do. And so, I look at it and I go, what is it that you can do? And let's do that, because that takes courage. I think Scott, with the brain tumor and recovering from a massive heart attack, all those things, it takes courage to get outside. Right? It takes courage. It's more than just will. It takes courage. It also takes courage for Lee because, I'm sure there's so many things that could go wrong. Kim, it takes courage for you to get outside because what if you have a major asthma attack when you're out, right? I understand that. Jody, takes courage for you to get out because so many things get in your way in terms of mobility. And also, so you look at it and you go, we all in our own way need courage. It's not just you. It's I need courage too. Yes, Carmen is saying environment, circumstances, and stress can make us toxic and toxic to others. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is who we truly are. It can be external factors that influence our behavior. Yes, I quite agree with you, Carmen. And that's why I'm saying be careful about ditching toxic people. All right? Because I do believe, and I had, that's why I had to say there have been times when I've been toxic, and I don't mind admitting that. I'd love to tell you that I am a really great person all of the time, but it would not be true. There have been times when I've been pretty toxic. But I know who my friends are, because they're still there. But I can tell you one thing, that if I continued to be toxic, do you know what I mean? Like if every time they met me, I was a Debbie Downer, and if every time I saw them, I was just into myself and not caring about anybody else. If every time I talked to them, I was miserable. How long will it take before they will ditch me? And quite rightly so. Yes, that's a good one there, Kim. Kim is saying, I feel when I go out, when I come back, I get sick. So that keeps me from wanting to go out, but I have to. Yeah, Carrie's saying, that she thinks she's been a toxic person in the past, right? So do you understand why I just made the quick correction there? Because it's so easy to say, get rid of the toxic people in your life. But you know something? Some of those people will be the people that will be there for you when you need help because they understand that. They've been there, done that. So what I'm trying to say is, these balloon statements, get rid of the toxic people in your life. I have got rid of some toxic people in my life. Why? Because literally they were toxic for over a year, or in one case, they were toxic for over 5 years. And when they were doing nothing to make themselves any better. Now, I can't help there. Yeah, Carmen's saying she's been toxic as well, right? It takes courage to stick by that person and courage to get through it yourself. Yes, absolutely. Yes, and I agree with you, Sakura. You're saying, I'm sure I've been toxic too. It takes courage, all right, to stick by that person and courage to get through it. Sorry. Sorry, Sakura said, I meant that the person doesn't change at all. Exactly. Doesn't understand me at all and just triggers me all the time. You trigger yourself. Don't put it on somebody else, Sakura. Not going to let you get away with it. You trigger yourself. Don't put the blame on somebody else, all right? Hi there, Ireland. How's it going? Why have you been in hospital, Ireland? Okay, so Kim, you're saying you have to go out on your own because you don't have anybody to go with you to go to appointments and things. Are you part of a church group? Because if not, get into a church group and they will make sure you've got somebody. Oh, Ireland, you silver-tongued devil, you. Ireland saying, all the better for seeing you. Well, aren't you, honey? Thank you so much. Yes, Maggie's saying, be that positive light in somebody else's life. You never know how much a smile and a kind word can light up somebody else's world. Wow, I didn't know that you suffered from that. Ireland's been saying that he gets epileptic seizures. Do you know something that brings back a huge memory for me, Ireland? I many, many, many years ago, when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I was at a big show in London, and a guy walked in front of me and had a seizure. And what absolutely amazed me, Ireland, was how many people just left him there, just walked right past him. And I couldn't believe it. And here I was, um, I rushed to help him because quite obviously something was horribly wrong. And I just was absolutely incensed that people just literally watched this man having this seizure and they walked straight past him. And yeah, it's nuts, and I literally rushed, and even at 19, and I probably was the youngest person in my sphere of influence in that moment. And I literally was looking at grown men and saying, get an ambulance here. Phone the 911 or whatever it was in those days. Please get an ambulance. This person needs help, and we're not trained to help. Yes, they don't know how to react. But the interesting thing is that isn't it sad that even if you don't know the right way to react, I can remember once dealing with a schizophrenic. And his demons were attacking him. And I have no training in schizophrenia. I want to tell you that. I just have no training in that. But I listened to what he was telling. I just watched what was happening physically. And I said to him, tell me what's happening. And he told me. And he told me how the demons were coming for him and this, that, and the other. And I said, okay, fine. And I literally lay down on the ground with him. And I said, I need you to do me a really big favor. And he said, what's that? And I said, I need you to tell the demons that if they take any more steps towards you, they're going to be dealing with me, not you. Can you do that for me? And he said, yes. And so I, left it for a little bit. And meanwhile, I was busy with the people that were around me, and I was making sure they were removing his shoes, his tie, anything where he could hurt himself. And I was doing it mostly by body language because my words were at the person who was having this schizoid type moment. And, it was amazing how just by looking at people and showing them my feet or whatever, and they were literally doing all the things that I needed to do. And so my reality was, are we guilty of not doing enough to help one another? And the interesting thing was when it was all over, by the way, somebody came up to me and said, wow, I've never seen anything like that. It took about an hour. And the person said to me, very high up person, they said, I've never seen anything like that. So where did you learn to deal with that sort of stuff? And I said, right now. And they said, what? And I said, right now. And he said, you mean you have no training in this? I said, no, none. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't train to deal with schizophrenia. But what I understood was what was happening. All right. I understood the demons, right? That made sense to me. But I also understood that I can be pretty scary for demons. So, excuse me a second. You're going to be dealing with me now, not this person. So to me, this person who was asking me, they said, what made you just immediately drop to the ground and do what you were doing? I said, that's what I was led to do. That's what I was led to do. Do any of you understand that? If you trust your gut, we talked about this last week. If you trusted your gut, yeah, you're right, Alan. Those demons, you want to come close up, you're going to get a spanking because you're going to be dealing. And that's what I did. I really did. But what I was doing was giving him the courage to tell them to back off. And the most incredible thing was that he wrote to me sometime later and thanked me for what I had done. But you know what he really thanked me for? He thanked me for teaching him how to deal with the demons. And he said what he does now is if he sees them coming at all, if they're creeping through that door or whatever it is that they do, he goes, if you don't back off now, I'm going to be calling Sal. And he said they just turn around and they run. So it worked for him. And, was it the right way? No. I'm sure medically it wasn't the right way. But the point is, it works for him. And so I look at, whether it's Scott trying to get out and take all those risks, whether it is Kim, I really think you deserve to have a group of people around you. And so to me, it's like, that's what church groups do. They help you get to the doctor or the dentist or whatever. There are people that will be happy to do that to help you. I say the same thing to Jody all the time. Whenever she's struggling with something, I go, get hold of the church. Tell them what you need. You see, what we don't do enough of is to tell people what our needs are. Yeah, Island's saying interpersonal communication skills. Yeah, demons, you take one more step. I'm going to get hold of Sal. Yeah. Well, you see, Carmen, but did I know how to do it, Carmen? You see, the thing I'm trying to explain here was I didn't know how to do it. I just knew I had to do something to help. When the person in front of me had an epileptic fit, did I know how to deal with an epileptic fit? No. So, to me, the most important thing is that don't walk on by. I talk a great deal to people in wheelchairs because I know a lot of people in wheelchairs. And one of the things that always amazes me is whenever I come across somebody with a wheelchair, when I talk to them, I try and get as low as I can so they're not constantly talking to me like this. And they always look at me and thank me. And I go, no, it's okay. But now, it's more difficult for me to get back up again. So after I've got down, I go, can you lean a bit that way? Because I need to put some pressure on your chair so I can get back up again. They burst out laughing. I said, okay, fine. And they lean over for me. So, to me, this is like whatever it is that takes courage. I'd like to suggest we all have the need, right? It is not just the Jody or Scots or Lee or Irelands of this world. Oop. I actually do believe that we all, in our own way, have need for courage. And that's why I wanted to talk about it today. And, why I would like to talk about it regularly. Because if we think only they need courage, then we are not looking at our own lives. And I'm pretty sure if you look at your own life, we all have one area this week that we can take one step and be a little bit more courageous. Thank you, Kim. Kim saying, I love this channel. It makes my day. Well, Kim, I assure you that it is people like yourself who share your truth that makes everybody else's day. And as you know, I have always said, and I will continue to say, that for every time I broadcast, if I feel that it has helped one person, it was worth the time I took to do the broadcast. So to me, this is not about I am a perfect person. This is not about everything is easy, because it isn't. For some people, it is more difficult than others. But I do know one thing, that we all have need for courage. We all have need to remind ourselves that we can do this if we try. We all need to remember it's easier to stay inside than it is to get out and join the world if we are not feeling well, or we're not feeling confident, or we're not feeling at all, that we're numb. But here is the thing. If you set a goal for yourself and say, I will know that I am mentally healthy, think about this, if I can make sure I get out twice a week, right? This is about a test to yourself, all right? Because we need to get out. It doesn't matter for how long. Yes, and I thank you for that, Ireland. It's like Alan saying, I agree, Rose. Sal is a wonderful lady. Thank you. And hey, sometimes you will get hit with the 2x4 because not everything is a walk in the grass, right? And it's all about progress rather than being stagnant. Yes, one step at a time. It's what we do on Friday lunchtime. Let's take one more step. Yes, you don't have to, Kim. Think about that. Kim saying, I will have to exercise during the winter. You don't have to. But what are the consequences if you don't? One of the things that I'm seriously thinking about, and Bernice as well, if you're thinking about going to a fifth wheel as well, how am I going to get enough exercise when I'm in a fifth wheel? At the moment, I get quite a bit of exercise going up and down the stairs and doing stuff like that. How am I going to do that when I only have 40 feet? All right. And it means I'm going to have to get out. Yes. And if the consequence of not getting out is depression. One of the good things, Kim, if you are you capable of driving, Kim? And a reminder to anybody that's prone to winter depression, make sure you're taking enough vitamin D. Because one thing somebody taught me once who lived in Maine is that if you want to go out for a walk, it's a really good idea to go to the local mall. All right? And walk the mall, or, ride the mall, or do whatever you can in the mall, if you're in a wheelchair. Because, it's heated, it's, you've got fair amount of room, and most of them are open after hours. And so, it's think about that, work out how to get exercise in the winter. I talked to a lot of you about, have you worked out, because I've actually done tests on this. What is my heart rate now? It is 68. It just went up to 70 beats a minute. But if I do this for 100 things, and I'm not going to do 100 now, but I know what will happen. This is not walking. This is still pumping my heart. And if you don't believe it, my heart rate now is 77. And this is about, what are you going to teach yourself to do? All right. And 81. This is like, if it's purely get your heart rate up, it is a start. 86. By the way, go backwards. It helps the muscles. Yeah. So 94. Backwards is better. It uses different muscles. 102. All right. So is that good for my heart? Absolutely. So here we go. All right. Kimmy, what I'm listening to is things you can't do. I can't do it in the snow. I used to do that, but now we live in a small town far away from a mall or anything. Another reason why I can't do it. Also, it's too much money for the recreational center here. Another excuse why I can't do it. So here is what I want you to do. What can you do? Not what can't you do. This is where we really stop ourselves. We just concentrate on what we can't do. If Scott concentrates on the fact that he gets frustrated with his walker, he will never leave the house. All right. And, it's not all about walking, right? It's like, Kim, you just have to let your local church know that you need some help. You're trying to do this, that, or the other, and they will have somebody who is more than willing to drive you around and help you do something. All right. So, okay, all the best there, Sakura. So everybody, get the courage this week to take a step in the right direction for you, whatever it is that you need. All right. We all have the excuses why we can't do it. We all have good reasons for not doing it. But let's have the courage to get past those and do the right things. And that will make us feel better and be better mentally and help us be better for our friends and not be toxic people. Because if we don't do the right things, we will be toxic as well, seeing as we talked about that today. So big hugs to you all, and thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing your realities. One of the greatest gifts I have is that I have a group of people who are prepared to come in and tell their truth. And I believe in doing that, we help not only those people, but we also help a lot of other people as well. And I know that because of the emails I get. So for all of you, thank you so much for being here. For all of you, understand we all have a cross to bear. We all have reasons to have courage, and we all need support in doing that. So here's a big hug to you all. Remember to look after one another, but as usual, please, 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 remember to look after yourself. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you for being here. I'll see some of you this evening. Bye-bye for now.